All right, what's up, everyone? As Dr. No just said, my name is Nestani, and we are running E-frame route. Just things to note about this game is that it's the third installment of Fire Emblem in the Western audience, but this is actually Fire Emblem 8, so the first 5 games basically didn't release to the Western market. But we're just going to go ahead and get started. Timer's just going to start on file select. So 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So basically, we start off with this game. Basically, we are aligned with Arenas, and the Empire of Grado basically invades us. And basically, Grado has been friends, longtime allies with Arenas, but instead they just randomly attack us and betray us. And we are controlling Erica here, and we are also controlling Seth. And Seth is basically Erica's most loyal knight, or like retainer or whatever. And Erica is the princess of Venice. And so right now we are fleeing the capital, and we are going to Freelia, who is another nation who's actually aligned with us and will not betray us. And so we are basically on our way there right now. But let's talk about what we're actually doing in this run. So whenever this, how do I say this? This whole run is predetermined and completely RNG manipulated. So basically, Fire Emblem is a game that has a lot of RNG inherent to it. So there's like hit rates, there's crit percentages, and things of that nature. And basically, we're going to be manipulating all those by doing this. So basically, what I did there is that I forced the game to redraw my cursor, right? So if you make the game basically redraw the cursor, because you've run out of spaces on the line to move, it redraws it, and every time you redraw the cursor, you burn a set of these numbers. Now, these numbers are the same every single time that you boot up a file, right? So as soon as you start up the game, these numbers are the same every single time, which means that the run is the same every single time, right? And a thing to note is that when I say that we RNG manipulate everything in the run, I quite literally mean everything, right? Again, as I mentioned, a big thing is like how often we hit and crit. These are like pretty much the two main things that we're going to see used most throughout this routing. But the thing to note is that when the people who routed this game, because I did not route this game because I am not smart enough to do that, let's just be very clear. When the people who routed this game, they had to think of a couple of different things while they were doing this, because, you know, as cool as it would be to just like walk up and just crit people every single time, all the time, that's not necessarily what is the fastest thing to do, right? That's because, like, if we were to crit every single time, we would have to redraw the cursor a lot, or I could just do what I did there, which I walked up to the enemy and I hit him twice and I killed him. You know, so like, I probably could like redraw the cursor like 10 to 20 times or something in order to like roll a crit. But a lot of times we are still about speed, right? The most important thing is to get through the game as quickly as possible. And so a lot of that is 2 hits, but rest assured we will be critting a lot, and we will probably be hitting almost every single we will almost be hitting every single time. But so and as we get to the end of this, our primary unit that we're going to be using is actually in the bottom there. It's Seth, again, is our retainer. Seth is basically a very powerful unit, and we're going to buy him some weapons because we have a bunch of money. And so we're going to buy him javelins, and only javelins. And that's it. And that's because javelins have a range of 1 to 2. So if you don't know, in Fire Emblem games, basically, you've been noticing, but I do a turn, the enemy does a turn. There are basically melee and range units, and essentially how it works is that javelins can attack from range, which is good because that means that we can counterattack the enemy on the enemy's turn, right? So we want to minimize the amount of turns that we are spending. Like, we want to minimize the amount of player turns, and just turns in general, I guess. And so basically what the javelin allows us to do is counterattack like mages or bow users, right? Because normally Seth has a steel sword and a silver lance that he comes equipped with, and basically these weapons don't allow him to counterattack on the enemy turn, so I would have to burn a player turn in order to progress. What you're going to see here, that guy's attacking me for range, I can counterattack him. That's why we're getting javelins. The thing about javelins, though, is that they're relatively weak and inaccurate, but again, inaccurate doesn't really matter. We're going to RNG manipulate all that away. And then for the weak part, we're also RNG manipulating the weak part. Now, you can't really manipulate like how hard a weapon hits like on the individual turn, but we can manipulate the stats that we gain from levels. If you don't know, Seth is he's advanced class unit, which means that he's already promoted. And typically Fire Emblem gives you these advanced class units at the beginning of the game to make the game easier, which is good for us. But the thing is that normally these characters fall off. Now, two things is that Seth doesn't really fall off in this game because he's just one of the most OP units in Fire Emblem history. But with that, we also influence his level up, so we get a lot of strength, skill, and speed, which are the main things that we want. There are 8 stats in the game. We're only really concerned about that. Speed is the least important just because we're using intrinsically fast units, and since we're already using fast units, we don't need to put that many points into it. But strength and skill especially are important because strength is basically how hard you hit. If you hit for 0, you can't do damage, right? And we're going to talk more about skill in just a second, but I want to draw the attention to Vanessa here, because Vanessa is a unit who can fly, which means that we are not impeded by anything on the ground. Also fun crit here. And basically, you see all these like bushes and stuff on the ground. These basically impede Seth's movement, and so Seth is going to be our primary ball handler for now. But eventually we're going to switch into a flying unit to be our like main unit going forward. But as I was talking about skill, basically for every 2 points we put into skill, we get 1 point of crit, just TLDR. And essentially we need a percentage crit, chance to crit, because if you multiply 0 by 0, it's 0. Spoiler alert, I know, just nothing you can do about that.
That's quick maths right there.
It really is. And so what we're going to do here is that we're going to do a bunch of redrawing, and then as you notice, I'm spreading out my units pretty heavily on this map, and the reason I'm doing that is because Fire Emblem has different goals for specific chapters. This one is a kill all chapter, so I need to kill every single enemy, so you kind of see me throwing Seth into the main cacophony of enemies down here in the bottom right, but I'm using Franz, Garcia, Erica, and Archer, all of these people to kill them. This is because, like, since the units are so spread out, it's faster to have my units also spread out to kill them, right? And then this also Chapter 4 introduces us to like the main overarching storyline of the game, which you can notice is that we're fighting monsters here. We're not really fighting human beings, as you can probably tell from like the skulls and like the eyeball with like the 2 little things. I don't even know what those are, his legs. But all you really need to know is that Grotto has destroyed their Sacred Stone, which is the name of the game. Basically, the Sacred Stone, if all of them are alive, the monsters are not here, right? So like the monsters don't like come out. But since they destroyed their Sacred Stone, the monsters are here, smile, and that is the vibe here. So we're going to get another level here, and we're going to head on to Chapter 5 right after this.
Can I hop in real quick?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to take a moment to let everyone know what it is we're here to raise money for. We're here raising money for True Colors United. True Colors United implements innovative solutions to youth homelessness that focus on the unique experiences of LGBTQ+ young people. In America, up to 4.2 million youth and young adults experience homelessness each year, with Black, Latin, and LGBTQ youth disproportionately experiencing harm. True Colors United is ending youth homelessness by transforming systems, building the power of youth with lived experience of homelessness, and advocating for change from the grassroots to the global stage. And just a quick update, we are at about $20 towards our $200 Give Max's Hat Back incentive. So if you want to help us give Max his hat back in mail time, make sure you pick the give Max his hat back incentive in the donation. And just a shout out, because I've seen some love in chat, if you would like to let us know what your favorite Fire Emblem unit of all time is with your donation message, I will be sure to read that as they come across my screen.
All right, and so we are now at the end of this chapter, Smile. That's it.
Wow, that was efficient.
It was. Basically, the TLDR of Chapter 5 is that we used a technique called rescue chaining to basically, you cannot pick up a unit and drop a unit on the same turn. So you have to use 2 different units if you want to pick up and drop the same unit in the same turn. And so that's what we did to basically cut out a turn there. And then the goal of that map was just to kill the boss. We kill the boss and we end the map. And basically what we did is that we unequipped Seth of all of his weapons so that he didn't counterattack. And then we just went straight to the boss. And so now we are on chapter 5X. X chapters in Fire Emblem are typically are known as guidance chapters. It literally translates to side story, which means that these are normally optional chapters. Now, it's not optional because we are introduced to Ephraim here, who is the Prince of Venice. And we're going to do the same thing here where we're going to unequip Orson. This is because we need to get to the throne room, because this is a Seas map, which you're going to see a lot of Seas maps going forward. And basically seizing means that we need to kill the boss on the tile, and we need to have Ephraim basically sit on the throne and capture the tile. And so basically with that means we're going to be just running it down directly to the throne room, basically ignoring all these enemies. And also, I think it would be really cool if all these enemies just kind of got out of our way so that we could get to the throne room in like a faster manner. Isn't this nice how all these enemies are just moving out of their way? I wonder why they're doing this.
You're manipulating the whole thing. You should know by now.
So this is called enemy control glitch, or ECG for short, which it's in the name of what I'm doing. I'm controlling the enemies. So how the heck am I doing this? So basically, first what I'm doing is I'm unequipping every one of their weapons and just moving them out of the way. So how do we do this? Well, if you notice, I opened a door with Kyle there, and basically whenever you open doors in this game, you trigger what is known as an actor tile. Now, you can create an actor tile, and if an enemy unit waits on an actor tile, if you soft reset the game by pressing A, B, select, and start, if you soft reset the game, you can basically take over their turn and play for them, which is really good for us. And we basically created one of those actor tiles by opening the door, and that normally happens on the top left-hand corner of the map. And so that is exactly what we did. We took over their turn, and then we said, you can't play no more, it's my turn, and then just absolutely made them get out of our way. And here we're going to buy a torch staff, because torch staffs are very, very OP here, because what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be we can create actor tiles. We can create actor tiles with the torch staff. So what we're going to do is that we're going to make the torch staff go there, and then we're going to come up to Seth, and we're basically chapter 6 is normally seen as this really hard chapter in casual play, and I'm going to completely trivialize it by simply playing for the enemy, and then move the boss of the map, because this is a kill boss map. I'm going to move him out. I'm going to reveal him in the fog, because you cannot hit enemies that you cannot see. And now we're just going to turn one of the hardest maps in the early game.
Well then.
A thing to note is that the torch staff does have limitations. So we need to have fog on the map, or we need to have darkness on the map in order for in order to be able to use the torch staff. So we cannot just ECG with the torch staff every single time that we want, because a lot of times there is not fog or anything on the map, as is this map. Which, if you notice here, I'm going to be doing a map without Seth, which is pretty rare. The reason being is that on this map, there is this giant thing where you have to go in a giant loop-de-loop to get up to this castle here. And the goal of this map is to basically seize. Oops. So, right there, I made a mistake. And basically, if I make a mistake and I catch it, I can soft reset the game, and I don't have to restart the whole chapter. If I commit to an action and I make a full mistake, I have to restart the chapter, and so that's just what happened there. Is I caught the mistake, so we're fine. But what's going to happen here is that we don't have Seth, but we have something else very powerful, and that's this weapon. This weapon has a might of 7, and which means if I'm super effective against enemy, which I'm super effective against this Cavalier type, you multiply the 7 by 3, and I did not do the redraw, so I did not crit, so we're going to run that one back. Now we're going to actually restart the chapter. So this is what you see, is that if you make a mistake, you have to restart the whole chapter, which is not a big deal because this is one of the shortest chapters in the game, but can be a big deal later on. So we've... I almost made a mistake, and then I made a mistake, so, you know, unlucky, but this is a pretty short chapter, so we're going to do the same thing that we just did. The reason we have to do that is because as soon as the numbers are out of whack, you can't really recover it. And so we're basically just going to watch this turn again. But as I was mentioning, Erica's sword, the rapier, has a might of 7. This might is tripled by 3 whenever you fight Cavalier units, because they're TLDR, it's super effective against Cavalier units. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now I actually did the redraw, so now let's watch Erica crit the crap out of this guy in one shot. There we go. Easy for us. Again, so this number is multiplied by the weapon's might, not by Erica's strength. So Erica's strength, as you can see, is 4. Really, really weak, but it doesn't matter because the weapon itself is so OP against the Cavalier unit type, which is why we don't need Seth for this map, and we can just have Erica kill him. So we're going to turn the animations back off, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Doing a lot of number crunching. This is because bows are super effective against Vanessa. Vanessa is a flying unit, and basically bows are super effective against her, which means same thing, the might modifier is multiplied by 3, not the enemy strength. So basically we get one shot by bows. And we don't want to get one shot by bows, so we're just going to make them miss, smile. And then we're going to make our way into Chapter 8, which is the last chapter before the Chapter 9 split, which basically at Chapter 9, we split into the 2 routes. We either choose Ephraim or Erica's route. We're obviously going to be choosing Ephraim's route. But right now we are in Renval because we are trying to save Ephraim, who has been captured in Renval, except he hasn't been captured in Renval. It's a trap, which is the name of the chapter, haha. I just realized you can't, like, the people that don't know the chapter names can't read it because it's in Japanese. But the chapter name's called It's a Trap. Sorry. So, yeah, so you're going to see Ephraim pop up, I think, this turn, actually. And we're supposed to, like, rejoin forces and stuff, but, like, we're not going to do that because, again, this map is what is known as a Seas map. Fire Emblem loves their Seas maps. You're going to see a lot of them. In fact, that's basically all you're going to see, but we're going to do something really cool here, where this knight's going to come over, and we're going to miss. Intentionally. Now, the reason we're doing that is because there's 2 other knights in that room, and again, since this is a Seas map, all we need to do is make it to the end of the map to hit the boss and take the throne with Erica, right? So we don't need to fight any of these enemies. Any extra enemies that we fight is time loss, so we intentionally miss there so that none of those knights fight us. And then we're going to do a little bit of redrawing here. And if you notice, my cursor's kind of flying around the screen, right? Like it's going back and forth really quickly. That is because we're using a technique called, well, I don't know what they actually call it. I call it L movement, which basically, whenever you press L, you cycle through your list of characters, right? So like you go from like Erica, snap to Seth, snap to Garcia, right? That vibe. And so that is what I'm doing when I'm snapping the cursor everywhere, because it's faster to do that than it is to, you know, move the cursor manually to wherever you want to go. But now we're basically going to close up this map, and if you have any readings, now would be a great time to do so.
Oh, no, this has been really fun. It's mesmerizing to watch the cursor fly around the screen like that, but I put a call out for people's favorite Fire Emblem units, and we've got some answers. We have a $5 donation from Barachil. Favorite Fire Emblem character is Myrrh. Favorite Fire Emblem unit is Amelia. Both are from this game. I wonder what that means. Thank you for that $5 donation.
Maybe it's because this is the best game.
Oh, that's a spicy take. We have a $15 donation from Neon Gray. You know, I actually can't think of a single favorite Fire Emblem unit. My favorite characters aren't playable. Go the bad guys. We also have a $10 anonymous donation. Good luck to Nestani and all the Friday runners. Thank you so much for that. And we have a $77 donation from Non-Binary Code. Thank you all so much. And a quick update. Y'all, we've been wanting to give Max his hat back for this upcoming mail time run coming up in just a few hours. And I'm happy to report that we are now well over halfway to giving Max his hat back. We are at $129 out of the $200 we are looking for to give Max's hat back. So if you want to help us return Max's hat, we have come a long way in a very short amount of time towards meeting that incentive. Any donation you can give us will not only go to a great cause in True Colors United, but will help us give Max his hat back.
All right. So now we are in Chapter 9. Basically, at Chapter 9, you can choose between the two stories. You can either go with Ephraim or you can go with Erica. As we are choosing Ephraim route, we went with Ephraim. Basically, these routes split into two. So basically, once we get back to Freelia after we rejoined with Ephraim, we basically discover the fact that Grado is trying to destroy every sacred stone in the land. And so basically we split up. So Erica goes to Roston to warn them that, Grado is going to destroy their sacred stone. And then Prince Ennis, who is not a route that you can choose, but he is supposed to go to Gehenna. Prince Ennis is the Prince of Freelia. He's supposed to go to Gehenna to warn them about Grado killing their sacred stone. And we are taking Ephraim's route, which means we are storming the capital. And we are going straight to the capital of Grado to end the war where it started by killing Emperor Vergard, who is the Emperor of Grado. And so, as you could probably gather from what we've been doing on this map, there's a door right there, and I'm luring an enemy unit to the top left-hand corner of the map. I wonder what we're about to do here. I couldn't have a single thought. So basically, we're going to trigger that actor tile to activate now, and now we are going to do another enemy control glitch. This is because, again, this is... say it with me, everyone. It's a seize map. We're going to seize the throne. Really one trick in here. Fire Emblem just loves their seize maps. So we're actually going to get this door key for later. But right now we're just going to move everyone out of the way so that we have a clear path to the throne room. And if you noticed, we did something different here than we did in Chapter 5X, which is we didn't unequip the enemies of the weapons. And that's simply just because actor tiles don't disappear. So if that guy keeps sitting on that tile, we can just keep activating ECG over and over and over and over again, as many times as we want. So we're just going to have Gilliam keep dodging, and he's just going to... And we're just going to completely bypass this whole map, and we're just going to go straight to the end of the game by just ending the enemy's turn. So now we're going to drop Ephraim, but unfortunately for Gilliam, his luck has run out. Nimby might give him flowers or something for his death, but for now, we're just going to... He's going to be our sacrifice, and we're just going to seize the throne, and we're going to get right out of Chapter 9 with a lot of ridiculousness. And so in Chapter 10, what I'm going to do here is that there's about to be an earthquake here, and I need to watch the earthquake. And that's because for some reason your RNG just doesn't line up in this chapter if you don't watch that cutscene. So I just watched the cutscene. Don't ask me why. I don't know. Again, I didn't route the game. I just know that things mess up if I don't watch it. So I watch it. And so here, this is Chapter 10. This is basically a long defense map. We're supposed to defend Dussel. But there's an alternate way where you can end the map early, and that is by killing the boss. So that's what we're going to do. Now, a thing to note is that you might notice that I don't have Seth again. This is because this is where we are pivoting from Seth. We are now acquiring a new ball handler. This is because in Fire Emblem games you can recruit units, and sometimes you can recruit enemy units. So this guy, no picture. This guy has a picture. This guy is Cormag. We're going to be using Cormag. Cormag is very, very OP. And so what we're going to do is that we're going to watch Vanessa crit this guy, just because it's fun. Animations are fun in this game. GBA Fire Emblem games just have very, very fun animations. But, so, you can recruit enemies, and so Cormag is now going to be our main ball handler. This is because Cormag is what is known as a Wyvern Rider. And basically, if you all have played Fire Emblem games before, you know that Wyverns are really, really OP units. They basically have really, really high strength and really, really high defense. The weakness of Wyverns are bows and magic, right? Because they have low resistance. But the thing is that like we actually don't run into a lot of bow or magic users in the run in general. So like that weakness is kind of for naught, right? We just kind of can ignore that. And the biggest reason why we're switching to Cormag is because since he's a Wyvern, that means he can fly, which means that he can traverse water, he can traverse mountains, he can traverse these walls. So like he is not impeded by anything, which since he's not impeded by anything, that means we have complete freedom to go exactly where we need to on the map as quickly as possible. And that is the downside of Seth, right? Which is why we pivoted to a flying unit. And so what we're going to do is now that we have Cormag, we need to catch him up to Seth, and we need to make him really big and strong. And so we're going to do that in this next chapter, chapter 11. But you might be noticing I'm doing something pretty weird in between a lot of these chapters. And what I'm doing is basically saving the game, and then I'm soft resetting the game. And the reason I'm soft resetting the game is because every time you soft reset the game, you basically reset the RNG seed. So I'm just basically making sure that my RNG is correct every single level by soft resetting.
I have a very important update.
Go ahead.
We have a $71 donation from 9binary Code, who says, I can't believe I, the giant ham that I am, forgot to put a comment on my last dono. So that said, comment. Perfect. Nailed it. Now then, incentive meeting sounds fun. Yeah, let's do that. P.S. Trans rights less than 3. NBC, thank you so much for that generous donation. And y'all, I have good news. We have indeed met that incentive. Max is getting his hat back later this morning in the mail time run. Thank you all so much for being so gracious and helping us meet that very important incentive. And yes, can I please see some trans rights and some trans rights pride emotes in the chat, please?
All right. And so this is chapter 11, which you've probably already seen it, but chapter 11 has a fatal flaw, which is fog, which means a lot of enemy control glitch is about to happen. And also, there are a bunch of enemies on this boat, and the boat is not connected to our boat yet. And so you can guess what's happening here. We are feeding every single one of these enemies into Cormag. So we are going to go from not chapter 10. Well, I guess we were just at chapter 10, but we're going to go from level 10 to level 15 in one chapter. So all these units are going to go fight Cormag. And since some of these units some of these units aren't going to go fight him, which is why we're going to enemy control glitch, and we're basically going to feed them to Cormag forcefully. So this is a pretty hard chapter to do just because it's very, very input dense, because there's a lot of enemies and you have to do them in a specific order, in a specific way in order to get to the end of the chapter. So we're going to hopefully not mess this up, because this is one of the most punishing messes, because again, if you mess up, you basically have to restart the chapter, because you can't soft reset on enemy turns, because if you soft reset on the enemy turn, you break enemy control glitch. So we're going to need to be very, very careful here. And so this guy's going to fight Mulder, who set up the torch right next to him. If you do ECG too early, you basically have to watch the turn again. If you do it too late, you miss it. So I was just erring on the caution of doing it too early. And so we are going to do these eyeballs. Very specifically, I have messed up that single move so many times for no reason, really. I'm just dumb. But if you notice, we equipped Cormag with his other weapon that he spawns with, which is the Iron Lance. The reason we did this is because the Iron Lance has 45 uses and the Killer Lance has 20 uses. And basically, we were trying to make the Killer Lance last us as long as possible. This is because the Killer Lance it basically has a very high crit modifier. So we crit a lot more often while we're wielding a Killer Lance, which means it's a very, very, very valuable weapon for us, which means we're going to stretch its usage as much as possible. Like by the end of the run, we're going to have it on 1 PP, like from 20. So with that, we're just basically going to spam this Iron List because these enemies are pretty weak. But I also just wanted to talk about a question that I got a previous time that I ran this a marathon, which is why do we speedrun the game if everything is predetermined, right? Like, you know, all the RNG is predetermined, the thing's the same every time. What's the point? Well, the point is that, for example, I have a 106 as my PB in this game. Record is a 103. And like, my 106 is like fairly good, but it's not anywhere close to a 103. This is because there's so much time save that you can save in like the player turns, like in the turn that I'm doing right now with, you know, these gargoyles and these guys. You can move these enemies a lot faster than I am moving them currently, right? And so we do have a check here to make sure that we did everything correctly, which is I should crit the crap out of this guy. And if I crit the crap out of this guy, we're so back. We're so out of the weeds. And then this is a final movement, and we are on to the final turn. And so now that I've basically played the enemy's turn for them, it's time to play my turn now. And so here I'm going to switch back to the Killer Lance, again, just for that crit modifier. And then now I'm going to be level 15 on the dot with Cormag. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a very fun redraw. Can we all count to 8 in the chat? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One of the longest redraws that we do in the speedrun. Really needing to crunch these numbers here so everything lines up for us. But we're going to do our last move, which this is kind of an interesting move because these bows users, right? They are on this boat, but for some reason they don't aggro onto Cormag even though they're in range of him. I don't really know why this happens. But they just fight Seth even though they're in range of Cormag, and Cormag's at 6 HP and they could definitely kill him. But they're just like, no, we're just gonna attack Seth and we're just gonna die. They just choose death. I don't I don't know why. But it's kind of funny. But Cormag in Chapter 10, basically whenever you recruit him, he has 3 items on him. He has a Killer Lance, an Iron Lance, and a Elation Whip. Now, what an Elation Whip is basically an item that allows you to promote your unit to an advanced class, which is a big reason of why we pivoted to Cormag, because he already has the item that we need in order to make him an advanced class unit like Seth, so like a very OP unit, right? And so that is what we're going to do. We're gonna deselect everyone now because now it's the Cormag show, and basically, this map is a kill the boss chapter, and so what we're going to do is that we're just going to run straight up to the top of the map. Now, basically what this chapter introduces us to is there are monsters and Grotto soldiers working in tandem with each other, which is pretty interesting. But what is more interesting is the Weaver Knight class. So we are now changing to our advanced class unit. Basically, the Weaver Knight class gives us something very important, but the most important thing we need to know for now is that we get a bunch of stats. A bunch. So we're just going to get like 3 health, 2 skill, 3 speed, and we're also going to gain a point of movement, which is good because more spaces that we can move means the more faster we can get to the end of the map. Because again, a lot of these maps are seize maps and kill boss maps, right? So that means we need to get to the boss as quickly as possible. Every single extra square counts. So, as I mentioned, these, what's it called? The monsters, there we go. The monsters are moving with the Grotto army, which is what we find out as we land here, because previously we've only had standalone Grotto chapters or standalone monster chapters, which means that there's something weird going on because normally monsters don't care. They just see human, they kill human, right? But they're working with Grotto, which we're going to find out about next chapter when we run into Selena. And we also run back into Myrrh, who basically explains what goes on, which is basically the Demon King is controlling Grotto. So here, we're going to switch back to the Lance to kill this guy. And that's going to be chapter 12, and we're going to head to chapter 13. So in chapter 13 is a kill-all map, which means we're going to be spreading out our units pretty thin. We're also going to be using a unit named Dussel, which Dussel we got back in chapter 10 because we were defending him. Dussel is an Imperial General of Grotto. Grotto basically has 6 Imperial Generals. They're very OP units. We get one of them in Dussel, and we are fighting one on this map called Selena. So what we're going to do is that we're going to pick up Dussel here, and we're also going to do some inventory management. Remember all those javelins I bought? It's javelin time. So we're just going to go ahead and equip Cormag and Seth with a bunch of javelins, and then we're going to move Cormag over there, Dussel over here, We're gonna look at the map for no reason. Again, with kill all maps, the general thing that we're going to be doing is spreading out our units pretty thin. Now, the thing to note about Chapter 13 is when the game, it's like the natural point of the game where you're supposed to start getting advanced class units. And this is Garrick, and Garrick is basically a mercenary with Prince Ennis, and basically Prince Ennis is like, hey, I don't need you, go help Ephraim storm the capital, right? And so he comes and joins us in Chapter 13, which is good for us because he spawns with the Hero's Crest. Hero's Crest, again, promotes him to an advanced class unit. He's going to get a bunch of stats, and since it's a kill-all map, we need to kill everyone on the map, which means we are going to be splitting this map into 4 sections. Garrick's going to take this far right side of the map, Cormac's going to take the middle right side of the map, Seth is going to take the middle left, and Dussel is going to take the far left. Again, Dussel is an Imperial General of Grado, which means that he's a very strong unit. He's already an advanced class unit, and as you're going to notice, we are using 4 advanced class units to... I just realized I messed something up, I think. Actually, I don't know if I messed something up. I'm just going to do it again, because I think I did. And if I didn't, cool, but essentially the first turn of this chapter is the longest turn, so I just want to make sure I didn't mess up, because otherwise it's an even bigger punish than this. So I guess I can just open the floor to the little bit more readings if we have them.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure everyone knew this is Power Up with Pride 2024. We are running from June 13th through June 16th, about 16 hours each day, and we're benefiting True Colors United. To find out more about them, you can find a link to their site in the panels below the stream, or you can use !charity in chat. If you're interested in donating, you can type !donate in chat. Find the schedule by using !schedule, or see the incentives with !incentives. And speaking of incentives, we have had a new one open up. A bit later on today, in just a few hours, Shovel Claws is going to be running Stephanie. And we have just opened a harder puzzles incentive, where if we raise $150 by about 4 minutes into Shovel Claws run, it is going to do harder puzzles. I think we love puzzles. If you want to see some more puzzles, and if you want to see Shovel Claws run some more puzzles as part of the Stephanie run later today, !donate in chat will help us reach that incentive. Make sure you select the Stephanie Harder Puzzles incentive when you are donating. And all donations are welcome. No donation is too small to a good cause. Nestani, I did want to ask you, because we had someone mention this in chat, because I think people just realized, are we skipping Joshua?
Yeah, we left him in Chapter 5, actually. So Chapter 5 was a kill boss chapter, and obviously recruiting Joshua is not really important to us because you can complete the game without him. And talking to him requires time, and since we're not using him, we don't need him, so we just skip him. The reason we actually talked to Colm in Chapter 3 is because Colm's a green unit, which means he was going to eat up an extra turn every single time, because there's basically blue phase, red phase, green phase, and we basically removed green phase, which is why we recruited Colm. But we didn't recruit Joshua because he's just kind of very far out of the way, and also in our way. But yeah, and so now, back at it, I don't think I made a mistake, but I for sure didn't make a mistake this time. Again, I'm just a little paranoid. But this is Selena. I love Selena, and because she's one of my favorite antagonists. But let's talk about what we're doing. So again, we're kind of splitting the map into 4 quadrants again. Garrick's taking this right corner, and then not Ephraim, freaking Cormac and Seth down the middle. And so I need to, since this is a kill-all map, I'm going to kill that Troubadour and basically attack her first. This is because Troubadours are healers, and healers don't fight, right? And so since healers don't initiate combat, we have to burn a player turn in order to kill them. And so let's kind of just let's go over the story a little bit here. Basically, Ephraim's grandmother Myrrh ran away. Don't worry about it. Just go with it. She ran away because she detected her dragonstone over here. And basically, Myrrh is a dragonkin, which basically means that with that dragonstone, you can guess what she's gonna do with it. She's gonna turn into a dragon. But basically, Prince Leon, who is Emperor Vergard's son, Prince of Grado, he ordered Selena, the general in the middle of the map, trying to hit us with her bolting, but embarrassingly missing every single time. Wonder why she's missing every time. She was sent to go get the stone. Not the stone. To get the... stone. Yeah, dragon stone. I'm mixing up my words in my head. She basically went to see the stone. Myrrh came to see her, and basically Myrrh was like, "Hey, Selena, the Emperor, his soul has been completely destroyed and consumed by the Demon King." And Selena was like, "What?" And basically Dussel turned traitor because he didn't agree with Emperor Vergard's actions. Because again, Dussel is an imperial general of Grado. He turned coat and aligned himself with us because he has connections to Ephraim, as well as he just didn't agree with the invasion of Rents because they were, again, longtime allies. And we basically confirm that Emperor Vergard has essentially lost his mind and is being controlled by the Demon King itself. Selena, however, is so loyal to him that she doesn't turn traitor, and we're going to have to kill her. And we're going to kill her by using this energy ring. There are certain items in Fire Emblem where you basically gain +2 of a stat, right? And so energy rings gives us +2 strength or +2 magic. And so we actually need this +2 strength on Seth in order to kill Selena, because if we don't use his +2, he actually won't have enough damage to kill her on this turn, which is why it's imperative that we burn one of those turns to get his strength high enough so that he can kill her, right? And yeah. And so Cormag's gonna get very, very low HP, and surely that won't be a problem for us, right? Surely he's just gonna live throughout this chapter. But again, Selena, very loyal to the Emperor. We basically like talk to her, and she's like, "Yo, I'm not going to betray him." This is because she's actually in love with him, which is unfortunate because I wish that Selena was in love with me because I love Selena. But you don't win them all. You just don't win them all. So we're gonna take her out, and we're also going to take out the rest of this chapter because this is the last turn of this chapter before we get to chapter 14, which is where we are going to storm the capital. As long as I don't mess up the literal last turn of this map. Okay, we're so back. All right, so yeah, I believe I've caught up everything. So basically, what we have found out is that basically Emperor Vergard's his soul has been completely consumed by the Demon King. Now, the reason for this is because of Prince Leon, and basically at the end of chapter 14, what we find out is that basically Emperor Vergard has been dead for about a full year now. So, but we're about to fight him. Which means that we are literally fighting a reanimated corpse, which is kind of unhinged. Like we're literally fighting a corpse, just like a little walking guy, like possessed by the Demon King. Just like, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Fine.
So it's cool. Just don't worry about it. It makes sense. But so yeah. So we are now making our way there, and basically how they did this is that, gotta make sure I'm doing this prep correctly. Basically what they did is that Prince Leon, I don't know how I say this nicely. Prince Leon was like such like a coward, a little baby idiot. A loser, some might say, whatever term you want to use. Basically, he was so unconfident in his ability to rule the kingdom that, instead of like doing the logical path of like, maybe I should just like get better and like you know, just learn how to rule a kingdom and like, you know, get better and, you know, be cool and stuff. Instead, he does what any sane person would do, the most logical path, which is how can I find a way to resurrect my father from the dead? Which is just logical thinking. You know, how do I raise him from the dead? And basically, him and Noel, Noel is a character we meet after this chapter and is aligned with us afterwards. But Leon and Noel basically research how to resurrect his father from the dead. And with that, what they do is that, so Grado's Sacred Stone is actually what is known as the Fire Emblem, which is the name of the franchise, but the Fire Emblem hosts the Demon King soul in it. So their Sacred Stone has a Demon King soul in it. Basically what they do is they split that stone into two, and so they have the Dark Stone and they have the Sacred Stone. And then once they split it, they destroy the Sacred Stone and they use the Dark Stone in order to resurrect Vergard from the dead. But he's really just a puppet. He just kind of just does what Leon says. So Leon's still like kind of ruling, but like not, you know what I mean? He's completely brainwashed. And basically the Demon King is basically influencing Leon and Vergard to do his bidding, which is what he wants to do is raise from the dead. But I actually want to talk about something crazy that you find out in a support conversation. So if you don't know, Fire Emblem has these things called support conversations, which is basically conversation between two units. And Fire Emblem used to do a good job of this. I mean, what? Fire Emblem, basically, we're going to do a long redraw here. This is the longest redraw in the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so Fire Emblem used to do a good job of this called putting lore and just like cool, just interesting things about characters in support conversations. They've kind of went away from that recently, but we don't have to talk about that. But essentially what you find out in a conversation between Noel and Natasha is more about the research that they do, which you wouldn't have found out about if you didn't read this one random support conversation, which I find insane. And basically what you find out is that they basically find out a way to look into the future. So while they're like researching the Darkstone stuff, they find a way to look into the future, and which is just insane. And basically what they do is that they look into the future. They see that a storm is basically going to hit the southern tip of Grado. And so they basically tell their people, hey, don't sail on this day. There's going to be a storm. And lo and behold, there's a storm that pops up, and then they just save them. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're actually going to watch this animation because watching Seth crit is fun because that's what he's about to do to Emperor Vergard. Again, the corpse. But essentially, they use this power of looking into the future to find out about that storm. They save a bunch of people, and then they also find out that there's going to be a super massive earthquake that's going to hit the southern half of Grado and basically destroy the entire southern tip. Not to be confused with the super massive earthquake in California. These are two different things. No inspiration taken at all. And I just find it so fascinating that you literally would not find out about this lore if you didn't read the support conversation, which is crazy to me. But that's going to be the end of this map. And this is also like why this game is one of my favorites, just because there's so many little support conversations that just have like little Easter eggs in them that you just like wouldn't find out otherwise. This also introduces us to these weapons. These are sacred weapons, or sacred twins weapon, not sacred twins. These are sacred weapons. And basically they require S rank to use, and they are super effective against monsters. And that's all you really need to know for now. We'll talk more about them later. Now we are going to chapter 15. This is Scorched Sand, one of the hardest maps in the game. And we're going to do some prep here. And basically this map is where you basically join forces with Erica again. So, ooh, I need that. So, welcome to the double boss here. We're going to watch this cutscene because we need to. And now let's get going. So, how we're going to tackle this map is that it's another kill-all map, which means this is going to be a fairly long map. Not as long as Chapter 13, thankfully, but still like a 6-minute map, casual. So we're going to split our forces up here. So basically there are two main things. There's the bottom right, which is Volter's army, and there's the top left, which is Collect's army. Now, a thing about this map is that it's called Scorched Sand, so there's sand. can see on the northern side of the map, well, I guess bottom side of the map now, there's a bunch of sand in the middle, and basically sand impedes grounded units' movement, which is why Cormag is so valuable to us, right? Because if Seth were to walk over sand, he would, instead of moving like, I think his movement is 7 or 8, instead of moving 8 spaces, he moves 1 or 2, which is really bad. But as you notice in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, there's not a lot of sand, if at all, which means that Seth has a straight line to Valter, who is a Grado Imperial general, and Collect in the top left is another Grado Imperial general. So you're fighting 2 different generals here. So what we do is, since Seth is impeded by sand, he goes and fights Valter, and Cormag goes to the top left side of the map in order to fight Collect. And now I'm just going to quickly summarize why Erica is here, because she's supposed to go to Rostin, and this is Gehenna. The super TLDR here is that Erica tried to go on a boat but couldn't because of T-Pain, and then Ennis almost dies, so Erica had to go save him because he's like a little loser, and then she joined a religion called Valega, don't worry about it, and then they ride with Ennis to Gehenna. They find out that Gehenna's Sacred Stone has been destroyed by Kalek, and then the Queen's dead, and then they find out that Valter team killed. Cool, you got all that?
Chad, I
no
hope
questions.
you wrote that down. There will be a quiz after the run.
Yeah. You will be tested. And specifically, Valter team killed Glenn, who is Cormag's brother. Unfortunately, we will not be killing Valter with Glenn, for those of you... Or, wait. We will not be killing Valter with Cormag, unfortunately. But we will be killing Valter with Seth, who's going to get it. So we're still going to get revenge, because Valter basically bangs up Seth at the beginning of the run. Don't forget this. That was almost real bad. All right. So we're still going to get a little bit of revenge on Valter with Seth, but unfortunately we're not getting it with Cormag. But yeah, and so now I'm just going to open up the floor. We can do some readings here for a little bit.
Yeah, I wanted to give everyone an update, because we have a couple open bid wars right now that are really close. We have, coming up a bit later this morning, a 20-something loser is going to be running mail time, and there is currently a color bid war for the character in mail time, and it is close. Purple is in the lead by $1, a single dollar. Purple has $77, pink has $76. So that is right for the taking. If you have a preferred color that you would like to see for mail time, it's close, y'all. It's close. Also coming up later this morning, we have Kirby Star Allies. And the bid war for that is also close. The bid war is to choose the character for the run. It's a guest star character, and you can pick the guest star. Right now, Susie and Taranza are tied. And Marks is only $10 behind. So that is still a very, very close bid war. If you have any preference toward that and you'd like to help kind of push that in one direction or the other, make sure that when you donate, you go to the polls section and select your choice for either the Mail Time Color Bid War or the Kirby Star Allies Guest Star Bid War. Again, that's !donate in chat. All of your donations are going to True Colors United, which is implementing innovative solutions to youth homelessness that focus on the unique experiences of LGBTQ plus young people. These are some close bid wars, y'all.
All right. So, as you all probably noticed, for those of you that have played the English version of the game, Collect moved there, which is kind of insane. He does not move on the English version, but what does happen on the English version is that he has a fort there, but fortunately we don't have a fort here, and we're going to pick up the boots here. So, basically there are items that are hidden in the sand. TLDR, we can also RNG manipulate where the items spawn, so we just get the boots in the same square every time. And so, basically, Collect has this item called the Hoplin Guard, which negates crits, which means that we have to 3-hit him. Last turn, we hit him with the Javelin and missed one, and here we're just going to hit him with a simple double hit. The Hoplin Guard basically negates all critical strikes, so you always have a 0% chance to crit, which means the only way to kill him is a 3-hit. We do get the Hoplin Guard, but we're not going to use it. And then we're going to go here to Seth, and Seth's going to kill Valter. And unfortunately for Valter, he's just a corpse that does not know that he's dead. And so that is that. And so there are multiple differences between the English and the Japanese version. Obviously, in the Japanese version, as you just saw, collect can move, so there are certain changes to the game like that. Then also just the biggest implication for the speedrun is that, remember how I was talking about how I soft reset in the middle of, in between chapters rather? Basically, if you soft reset on the English version, you have to watch all the unskippable, like who the developer of the game is and stuff. They're unskippable on the English version A, and B, you go all the way back out to the beginning, but on the Japanese version, you go right back into the battle. So not only do you dodge those things, but you also not only do you dodge the screens, but you also go right back into the game. So you're really saving time in 2 different spots, which means that you literally save minutes by playing on the Japanese version of the game, just out of that alone. And so now we are, Ephraim and Erica are now together, and essentially this is now all the maps from here on are the same, but they're, that's annoying. I'm just gonna run this back real quick. I did not mean to do that. So all the maps now are the same. So whether you chose Ephraim route or Erica route, they are now the same. But there is one final difference, and that is on this level, which is where you spawn. So we spawn, since we took Ephraim route, we spawn on the far left-hand corner of the map here. And we are now not going to mess this up. Boop, boop, boop. And so now we're going to get the boots. Basically what the boots do is that they give us +2 movement, which again, movement is king. So we just get to move 2 extra squares, which is really good for us. And so basically we spawn on the far left side of the map, and on the Erica's route, you spawn on the right side of the map, which is actually worse for us on the Ephraim route. So in general, words. Thinking about too many things at once. Okay. So basically, the main difference between this is that since Erica spawns on the right side of the map, she's actually closer to the throne room A, and there's also not all these bushes over here. These bushes inhibit our movement, which is why you see us basically doing a lot of rescue chaining right here. And this is just so we can get Seth and all of our grounded units over the bushes. And so basically, because of this, because we're so far away from the throne room, we actually do this level in 6 turns, but on Erica's route, you actually do it in 4 turns. And this is even more exemplified because on Ephraim's side of the story, basically Ephraim, the game says that Ephraim's side of the story is harder, which means there are more enemies just in general, which means that on this map, there are actually more reinforcements that spawn on Ephraim's route than there are on Erica's route, which means that we have to watch these guys walk around forever and just like keep eating up time. And then even to make things even worse, not only are there more reinforcements that we have to watch walk longer, but also there's a manip that you can do on Erica's route where you can essentially make the reinforcements spawn later, which means you don't have to watch them move every single turn. We don't have that luxury. So not only do we have to watch all these guys move that just spawn there, but Erica just doesn't even have to deal with the reinforcements at all, which is ridiculous. But with that being said, you save a bunch of time as Erica on this map, but the problem being is that you save a lot more time everywhere else with Ephraim's route. This is because as you can tell, I'm using a flying unit Cormag. This is because we really want to be able to use a flying unit in this game, because flying units are just really, really OP because they ignore terrain, right? And essentially, you get Cormag in Chapter 13 on Erica's route, which is just far too late to feed him experience for him to be useful. So what you do on Erica's route is you actually use Vanessa as your Weaver Knight, and Cormag is not used at all, which means that you have to start feeding Vanessa experience at like Chapter 3, right? like so you have to feed her experience all throughout the early game, which, if you all remember, what we did throughout the early game is also these guys they're just walking around, bro. Just so much time. But we just bulldozed the early game with Seth, right? We just one-dinged everyone with Seth. We did not have to worry about feeding anyone, so our early game is just so much more faster than the Erica side route, which is why Ephraim's route is still much shorter than Erica's route. And so now, we are finally into the throne room. We have dropped Ephraim again. Seize map. Shocker. So we're going to be seizing the throne here. And we're also going to remember to do this redraw that I have forgotten to do so many times that has confused me as to why the end of the game messes up. This is because if I don't do that redraw, I basically get a point of resistance, and I do not want to gain a point of resistance, because if I gain a point of resistance on this level, I get 7 resistance, which is too high for a manip that we're doing in chapter 20. Yeah, so I don't see the ramifications of my actions until chapter 20, which is insane. But here, these are items that basically change Ephraim's and Erica's class to advanced classes, which we obviously don't need. But we also get 2 key items. These are the Sacred Twins, so these are locked to Ephraim and Erica, and which is very useful for us for the next chapter, chapter 18. So basically, sacred weapons are normally S-rank weapons, but because these items are locked to Ephraim and Erica, that means they can use them even if they don't have S-rank, which is very useful for the next chapter. But this chapter, chapter 17, is pretty straightforward. So I'll just toss it to you for some more readings. We're just basically going to 2-turn this map. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I have a $25 donation from Actual Lizard who just says, "Sacred Stones, let's go!" Which I think sums it up about very nicely. Thank you so much for that donation, Actual Lizard. And y'all, we are so close to $800 raised for True Colors United. I'm wondering, do you think we could possibly get to $800 by the end of this run? We don't have that much time, but I have a feeling we can do it. Remember, all of the proceeds raised are going to a fantastic cause. True Colors United implements innovative solutions to youth homelessness that focus on the unique experiences of LGBTQ plus youth. They also equip service providers with the tools to create safe and inclusive spaces that meet the needs of all youth experiencing homelessness through their Equity Hub, toolkits, and continuously growing resources. True Colors United has helped thousands of staff transform their agency's physical space, culture, and policies. It's an absolutely phenomenal cause, and we are so close to $800. And remember, everything is leading up to that big incentive at the end. If we can reach $10,000 by the end of Powered with Pride on the 16th, we will see Path of Pain done with one hand. That is one of the hardest platforming challenges in recent memory, done with just one hand. We have the rest of the weekend to help get there, and I know we can do it. We're making great progress, and we're raising money for a fantastic, fantastic cause.
All right. So we are now to chapter 18, which means basically what happened at the end of that chapter is that we got a very key item for us. This is the sacred weapon that is the lance, which means that we need to have an S rank in order to use it. And so we have that lance on Cormag. But right now on this map, there are a bunch of eggs, and this is a kill-all map. Now, these eggs double as actor tiles, fun fact, which means that we can miss the enemy control glitch activation. But don't worry, we did too soon, which means that we can just simply try again. And basically what we're going to do here, since this is a kill-all map, we're going to unequip the stone from this Medusa. This is because stone is a rare thing in Fire Emblem, which is it attacks from 3 spaces away, which means we cannot counterattack with javelins or magic as we normally would be able to. Another property of these eggs, which these eggs are a very big problem on this map because they are eggs, so they don't initiate combat, right? Which means that we have to burn a player turn to kill every single egg, right? And these eggs do eventually spawn and hatch, but we don't want to wait for them to spawn and hatch because that just takes up far too much time. So we have to burn a player turn for every single egg on the map, which is why we unequip the stone from the Medusa so that we can counterattack on the enemy turn and save a player turn, right? And as you notice, we've seen a lot of level ups here. This is because the eggs are also really annoying in the fact that they give you 50 experience, which is really good for like a casual play when you need a little bit of extra experience, but it's horrendous for us because at this point, Cormag is pretty much powerful enough to defeat the Demon King as is right now, which means that we don't need levels at this point of the run. Like, levels are just a strict time loss for us, which means that every level that we get is time loss. And so, basically, the people who routed this, again, not me, I'm not smart enough to do that, they had basically a decision to make while routing it, which is how many units do we use, because the more units you use, also kind of the more levels that happen, but also the more units you use, the less. Like, the more you have to move your units, which loses time, but if you use less units, that means there's more level ups, right? So there's a lot of things that you have to think about while routing it, right? So the lance that I've been using with Cormag is known as, and this is exactly how you pronounce it for sure, it's called Vertinerf. So whenever I say Vertinerf, I'm referring to the S-rank weapon that Cormag's using. Do not question me, it's just called Vertinerf. But speaking of S-rank weapons, I'm dropping Erica there. This is because Erica has Siegeling, which I mentioned before in chapter 16 that it's the equivalent of an S-rank weapon, which means it's super effective against monsters, and we're fighting monsters on this map. And it gives her literal +5 strength, and it has a might of 16, which is ridiculous. Which is like should show you how OP these weapons are, which is why a level 10 Erica is about to one-shot a like an end game level enemy when she's incredibly underleveled. And that's because of just how powerful these weapons are, and because she doesn't need S rank to wield the weapon, we just do 30 plus damage to that guy and one tap him. And and so these weapons aren't very important for the eggs themselves. It was just really important for that gargoyle. But now we are going to finish up with all the eggs, and as you're going to notice, there's going to be a couple characters that are going to end this map, but we're not going to get levels on, which are going to be very key. I believe Ephraim is one of them. He's going to kill this guy. He's not going to gain a level here, right? So that's time save. I need you. I believe Cormac gains a level here. Cormac gains a level, right? Yeah, Cormac gains a level, but Seth doesn't gain a level, Tana doesn't gain a level, and Saleh also doesn't gain a level at the end of this. So we're saving some time here by avoiding level ups. Because again, watching that whole level animation that we just saw with Cormac takes up a lot of time, right? So Tana, 97 experience. You know, right at the border of getting it. We avoid a level up. Unfortunately, Erica doesn't avoid one because she gets 50 from the gargoyle, so 50-50, you know, 100. But Sally's going to crit this thing, and he's also not going to gain a level, so we just saved a bunch of level up time there. And now we're going to get to Chapter 19, which is probably my favorite map in the game. It's either this one or Chapter 13. These are basically two of my favorite maps, just casually to play. Basically, Chapter 19 is normally a very long defense chapter, or it's a very hard kill the boss chapter. But as you notice, there's a fatal flaw on this map, and that is called darkness, which means we can use ECG because we have a torch staff. Which means the enemy doesn't get to play, and it's actually my turn now. My turn. Me smile. So we're going to move all these guys out of our way, and we're going to do something really funny here, which is we're going to move Reeve out here, but we're going to rescue chain him with the enemy. And this is because, again, on dark maps, you need to be able to see the unit in order to attack the unit. And so we're basically rescue chaining him so that he gets just far enough so that we have enough vision to see him and one tap him with Cormac. Which probably pisses off a lot of people in the chat because this chapter is notoriously very, very hard no matter if you choose to go fight Reeve or if you hunker down and defend the throne. Just both very, very difficult things to do, and we just don't care. So chapter 20 is next, which we're going to do a lot of really, really interesting things and a lot of really cool things. So what we're going to be doing is that this is a seas map. Again, Fire Emblem loves their seas maps. But we're going to do something pretty interesting on turn 1. So I'm going to get rid of a lot of people here. And what we're going to do is that I'm going to equip Vertinerf on Cormag, which is a range of 1, right? And Vertinerf also just OP weapons can allow us to kill the enemies that fight us. But also what I'm going to do is I'm going to rescue T these, and I'm going to place Cyrene, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to place Cyrene and Cormag on these specific titles. Cyrene's on a mountain, Cormag is on this like thicket brush. And the thing to note is that these do not count as like grounded platforms, which means yeah, it doesn't count as grounded platforms, right? So I'm not on the ground right now. And basically on turn 1, if you have no enemies on the ground, yeah, if you have no allies on the ground, all these units on the ground, all the enemy units on the ground, they don't move if you don't have units like on the ground, right? And since we have our units in the mountains, we just make the enemy not move a ton of their units on turn 1, and we save a bunch of time. And so here, I have 23 HP because I got hit twice, and Ephraim has 23 HP. Now, if you notice, I'm in the middle of a bunch of units, right? And these guys are now moving now because we're on the ground. But what you're going to see here is, since I'm at 23 HP and Ephraim's at 23 HP, we're going to manipulate the AI and what the AI is going to do. So these guys could very, very, very easily kill Ephraim because he's super underleveled. But because we have the same HP and Ephraim has a javelin, you're going to notice that the eyeballs specifically don't fight Ephraim. And the reason for this is because Ephraim can counterattack them, but Cormag cannot counterattack them. And since Cormag can't counterattack them, even though they see a kill on Ephraim, they won't attack him because he can counterattack. The Gargoyle kind of breaks that, but we just make him miss. But everyone else fights Cormag because they see because Ephraim can counterattack, which is so funny because they could just easily kill Ephraim if they want, but they're like, well, he can hit us, so we don't want to fight him. And so here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're just going to walk into this guy, again with Vertinerf, S-rank weapon. We're just going to one-shot the big bad dragon there. And we're going to make our way to the second to last chapter in the game. And these chapters are going to go by really quickly after this seas. So we're going to do something. This is the coolest part of the run to me, which is the very end of the run for one main reason, which is not this cutscene that I just can never skip for whatever reason. I just always have to see that white flash. It's truly unfortunate. So we're going to kind of just ignore everything. We're going to use 2 units. We're going to use Cyrene. 3 units, sorry. We're going to use Cyrene, Cormag, and Seth. So I rescued Seth because I'm going to bring Seth up here because this is a kill boss chapter. We need to kill Leon. And so what we're going to do is we're going to position our units in such a way so that we can get up there. So as you notice, there's a row of 3 Bone Walkers in front of Leon. We need to kill one of them in order to open up the path so Cormag can kill Leon, right? The problem is that there's a bow user that would attack Cormag, and if that bow user attacks Cormag, he's actually in the path so that Seth can't open up the path, which means we need the bow user to attack someone else, which is Cyrene. Goodbye. Cyrene's dead. Sometimes you just have to sacrifice people, and she is the second and final sacrifice of the run. But now Seth can open up the path, and now we're going to call back to what we did in Chapter 12, which is getting the Weaver Knight class. The reason we did this is because, well, let's just look. I do 9 damage to him. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 2 is not 73. Or it's 21. I can't do math. Whatever. I can't kill him, right? I just can't. And he does 50 damage to me. But the thing about the Weaver Knight class is that it has a skill called Pierce. And basically what Pierce does is remove all defense from a unit. So you one-tap them. Because they basically have a defense of 0. And that is triggered by, we just leveled up to 13. It is triggered on a percentage chance of your level, which is so cool because whenever I was first learning the run, I didn't expect that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's run that back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. which means that since their defense is 0, whenever I hit the Demon King who has 100 plus HP, we're gonna one tap him with Pierce, which is just so sick that you can activate Pierce and you can even RNG manipulate Pierce. I just find that so cool, and that is the end of the run. Time's gonna stop whenever I save on the file, which will be in just a moment. And time is right now, and that is Fire Emblem, the Sacred Stones E-frame route. Again, Pierce is just, dude, it's so cool that you can force the game to activate that. I don't know, I just find it very, very cool. But that's it for me. No shoutouts for me, just shoutouts to Power with Pride. I love doing this marathon. I love supporting this marathon. It's always a good time. And just thanks for having me on. Good luck with the rest of the event.